Get your fix. Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready to get your fix? With the Wicks here on this beautiful, Wednesday, June 8th, 2022. Welcome to the show, whether that's on Facebook or on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, do me a favor, hit the like and the share. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe. It would be much, much appreciated. So hopefully you all had a wonderful night, that being last night. I know I did. Got to sit down with Mark Davison of the Steelers Australia. Let me go make sure I get this right, okay? It's of Steelers Nation Australia. Got to sat down with him on his Steelers Ironcast last night, which is a podcast that he does, and got to dabbling in football. I got to talk about ball, got to talk about the Minnesota Vikings and what we expect this season, or what I expect this season. It was a fun time. It was a great conversation. And, might be up to something. We'll put it that way. So, with that being said, there's a couple things we got to talk about today around the National Football League. One of them, being that the Denver Broncos have officially been bought. By who? We'll get to that in a minute. How much? We'll also get to that in a minute, because the number is astounding, okay? It only sets the price or the bar higher and higher for new teams, or teams that might potentially sell in the future, and how much they might sell for. So we'll get to that here in just a couple minutes. So with that being said as well, we have the Canadian Football League, the CFL, for those of you that don't know, might be making a TV appearance. For what channel? Is it going to be good for the game? Good for viewership? Good for us as fans? Probably. We'll get to that, as well as the Browns excusing Baker Mayfield from mandatory minicamp. Both sides apparently decided upon that decision. Probably a good one. Kind of seen this coming. And we'll move forward with ending the show on his... It sounds like Josh McDaniels is buckling down. What does that mean? I don't know. So with that being said, are you ready to get your fix? So the Denver Broncos went into this offseason knowing that they were going to be sold. For how much? The number was really kind of being rumored. Basically, everyone was kind of saying, they'll probably be sold for this amount. We're really unsure who's going to buy it, what type of groups or people are going to come into this, and who's going to be bidding for the Denver Broncos. Well, after months of deliberation and kind of narrowing down the candidates, the Denver Broncos have been bought by the Walmart heir, Rob Walton. I believe he is the grandson of Sam Walton, grandson of Sam Walton, or son of Sam Walton, one of the two. He's in the family tree. All right, he's a Walton. They own Walmart. Dude has like $60 billion just sitting in his back pocket or his bank account, basically. Can do whatever the hell he wants when he wants to. All right, so he bought the Denver Broncos, but he wasn't the only one that decided to join in on this. As reported by Aramir of a Pro Football Focus on My Sports Update on Twitter, Melody Hobson, co-CEO of Ariel Investments, chair of the board of Starbucks Corporation, and a director of JP Morgan Chase, will also be in the new Broncos ownership group led by Rob Walton. This purchase actually set a record for a North American team. The highest bought team, I guess you could kind of word it that way. The team, the highest bought team in North America is now the Denver Broncos. How much, do you ask? The Denver Broncos were purchased for $4.65 billion. That is absolutely ridiculous to even think about, to even fathom that a team could sell for that much money, but it makes a lot of sense in the fact that they just land Russell Wilson. Got a new head coach over there in that organization. Their team is looking pretty solid with Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick. You look in their backfield with Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams. Their defense is coming together real nicely. Yeah, they got rid of Von Miller just a year ago, but I think with Bradley Chubb on that defense and others that I can't think of off the top of my head, it's still a young and up-and-coming defense. This defense is going to be set, I think, for quite some time down the road. But then you also have to play or kind of think about all the deals with the TV stations or the broadcasting rights. Fox, CBS, NBC, Amazon just got into the game. I'm sure Google will get into the game, and I'm sure Apple will try to get into the game. All this type of money or all this new money is going to start to want just to have a little sliver of the NFL and put their money in, invest in the NFL, and that helps team revenue. At least I believe it gets split or something like that. And then you look at how much do they sell their tickets for? How much money do they make off merchandise? Concessions? All that kind of plays a role in the fact that they were sold for $4.65 billion. To kind of put that in perspective, with this making it a record-setting number for a North American football team or team in general, professional team, in 2018, David Tepper bought the Carolina Panthers for $2.3 billion. $2.3 billion. Damn near, actually, no, they doubled what Carolina sold for just 4 years ago. And it says 4 years later, the Walton Penner family is buying the Denver Broncos for more than double that figure, a whopping $4.65 billion. Imagine if the Dallas Cowboys went up for sale. How much do you think they would go for? Okay, because I'm looking at the $10 billion range, most likely. Especially because it's America's team. Not my opinion. They're the entertainment team, always in the news, never does shit, all right? Sorry about it. It's just what I've been seeing the last, my whole entire existence. I don't think they've been to the NFC Championship game since, I think it's been 25 years or something like that. Like, it's just brutal to kind of watch over there. You think they're going to be good. They're really not. But anyways, if they're up for sale, one of the most popular sports teams, professional sports teams in North America, you're looking at like $10 billion, probably more than $10 billion for them going up for sale or to even be bought, I guess you could say. And then you got to look at other teams as well, because there's other teams around the National Football League that are kind of, more intriguing or a better organization as a whole. You look at what the Rams did, right? They were in St. Louis. They were supposed to be there for quite some time. I believe they signed an extension with St. Louis, and they pulled out of that like a year or two later, end up making a move to Los Angeles to become the Los Angeles Rams, which they once were back in, is it 60s, maybe 70s? I'm not really sure what the exact date was, but way back in the day, they were the Los Angeles Rams. They moved to St. Louis, then they moved back. Which brings me to this. The Los Angeles Rams owner, Sam Kroenke, he's also part of the Walton family. His wife, I believe, is like a sister to Rob Walton or something like that. So I think he's like a brother. So Sam Kroenke's like a brother-in-law to Rob Walton. So now the Walmart family, okay, they got a lot of money. Like I said, Rob Walton has $60 billion just sitting in his bank account waiting for something to happen so he could maybe spend a chunk of that. Well, he didn't even spend a chunk of that. He literally just, I don't even know, he took like a little sprinkle off of that money and kind of tossed away, because $60 billion, even $1 billion is more money than I think, well, at least I could fathom. That would be ridiculous. Like if I was in a room with $1 billion, I mean, man, I'd move wherever the hell I wanted. I'd have a nice-ass house. Not too many rooms, okay? Not too many rooms unless I had like 4 cleaning ladies. Then maybe that's a possibility. But just a couple rooms, definitely like 3 bathrooms. All right, full bathrooms, bath, shower, you get it. All right, maybe a weight room, a game room, whatever you want. A podcast room or a broadcast room, you get it. Okay, $1 billion I could do a lot of shit with. $60 billion that man has is just absolutely ridiculous. He looked at the Denver Broncos and said, that's all you want for it? All right. Give me the checkbook. Come on, Nancy. Give me the checkbook. Bring it over here. All right. 4.65? All right. Here you go. I want the team. And bam, it was done. Like, that was nothing to him. Because he's going to make that money back. It's bound to happen, especially who knows how long he's going to have the team. Usually when an owner comes into the organization or into the NFL, they keep that team for generations, it seems. I mean, it really does. You look at Jerry Jones, right? He bought the Cowboys, put it on a credit card and said, hey, thank you. All right. Paid it back in like a blink of an eye. Now his son, Stephen Jones, probably going to take ownership of the team once Jerry decides it's not for him anymore, or maybe when Jerry passes away, which who knows when that might be. I mean, the dude is, he's relentless, okay? He might live forever. Who knows what he's going to do, but he's next in line. And then Stephen Jones' kids are next in line, and then their kids are next in line, and it kind of goes on like that, generations, literally. Unless you are a despicable owner like, Dan Snyder, okay? And even he might get to keep the team. I don't know how that's possible, but in my opinion, get him out of the NFL. He seems like he's messed up quite a bit already. Probably not somebody you want representing the NFL, but, generations is literally, if you own a football team, if you're an owner of a football team or a national football team, you are set. Your whole family is set for the rest of time, basically, like for the rest of however long football decides to stick around. Like, it is literally, it's incredible. The Denver Broncos got bought for $4.65 billion, marking a record for a North America team. That is just ridiculous, and hopefully they have a somewhat okay season. Probably not going to be the greatest season because they do have to deal with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers, who just got Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson. Okay, they have Joey Bosa, Derwin James, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler. You get it. Okay, then you look at the Las Vegas fucking Raiders. All right, Derek Carr, most underrated quarterback in the National Football League. I don't care what you guys think about that. That's my opinion. If you want to argue about it, I'd be glad to argue about it. But Derek Carr is definitely one of the most, if not the most underrated quarterback. They get Devontae Adams somehow, Chandler Jones somehow. That team is looking pretty stellar, okay? Basically, they made the playoffs last year, all right? What more do you want? Now they have a new regime, head coach Josh McDaniels, which we'll get to him towards the end of the show. New GM. The Raiders are looking good. So, there you go, folks. All right? It's going to be interesting, all right? They have those 3 teams to go up against. It's going to be a tough season, but they got Russell Wilson and their young squad. Might struggle a little bit the first year or two, but I think they'll find themselves landing on their feet rather than, their face. So, good for the Denver Broncos, good for that organization, good for the National Football League. Moving on, the Canadian Football League. The CFL is coming to ESPN. And I'm pumped for it. Field Yates reported that ESPN Plus and the ESPN family of networks. So all the networks that basically are owned or run by ESPN will be broadcasting all 81 CFL regular season games this upcoming season. That's huge. That's big news, right? Because a lot of you might not think so. Because, the NFL it reigns supreme. It's the top, it's what you want to watch on Sundays, okay? You don't want to watch the Canadian Football League. You just don't. But you look at, a Dante Culpepper who had to go play the Canadian Football League. I got to witness his greatness here in Minnesota for at least a little while anyways with Randy Moss, Chris Carter. Most recently, you know of Johnny Manziel. That didn't pan out at all. But I think what the Canadian Football League does for us and being able to finally get an ESPN deal and having it broadcast here in the States, it's like it gives us a chance to see the NFL players or the players that we thought were going to be superstars in the National Football League go up to the Canadian Football League. Like a Doug Flutie who played up there, came back to the National Football League, stole the show, an absolute legend. Everyone knows his name. Okay, New England Patriots, we get it. But it gives us a chance to kind of look at those guys and see if they can take that second chance and run with it. Can they find their way back to the National Football League? It might not be the greatest football on earth to watch, but it's definitely better than the USFL. Okay? Still haven't watched that. I watched the first 2 weeks of it. That's all I needed, especially when a guy's smoking a cig in the middle of practice. What are we doing? You want to play in the National Football League, or you want to fuck around and act like this is a Parks and Rec league? Come on, dude. Let's go. But it's going to be better than what the American Alliance of Football was. It's going to be better, or it is better, than the Fan-Controlled Football League. Could be better than the XFL, and we don't know it because we don't get to see the Canadian Football League. We don't get to watch that unless for some odd reason somebody buys his subscription to whatever the CFL was doing or had at the time, and then you got to watch it. We don't get to see that. We just get to see highlights on Instagram, Twitter, you get it. But now being able to kind of have a front row seat to kind of open up our eyes a little bit to a different league. It's a football league still. Shorter field, more compact. I think the uprights are a little different. We get a chance to kind of look at these guys and be like, oh, that guy deserves to be in the National Football League. He's going to get more, he's going to get scouted more. He's probably going to get more views. He's probably going to get more likes and all that stuff, more followers. He's going to become big time, basically. And we get to watch these guys that came in the NFL thinking, hey, this guy's going to be a superstar, a.k.a. Johnny Manziel. Okay, party animal, not mature, very immature, okay? Daddy's money, we get it. Goes to fucking Canada, and we would get to watch that. Hey, make it back to the National Football League. Prove a lot of us wrong. Prove to yourself that you're a G. Couldn't even last a full season there. I mean, gets kind of booted out of that league, booted out of the country, and now he's in the fucking fan-controlled football league looking like a fool. I mean, he could have had everything, and now he has, well, I mean, he still has something because the man has a lot of money, but just imagine what he would have been able to do. I mean, they called him Money Manziel for a reason. When somebody looks at you and goes like this or something, or when you're playing football and you throw a touchdown pass, right? And you just go like this, first thought that pops in a lot of people's minds is Johnny Manziel. Like instantly, show me the money basically, because that's what Manziel always did. And he kind of threw it all away, but with the Canadian Football League moving to ESPN, it's going to grow their league. It's going to give us an option to see their superstars live and potentially make their way to the National Football League. And so we get a chance to know them before they get in the National Football League instead of just showing up and be like, who's that? Who's this guy? Oh, okay, he played in the Canadian Football League. Well, how'd he do? Oh, you don't know? Me neither. All right, let's figure it out. And it's kind of like that you have that same kind of outlook on him as you would like a rookie that was just drafted a month ago, basically. You'd be like, oh, well, he hasn't played in the NFL. You can't really compare him to anybody. He might have been a stud in the Canadian Football League, but this is the fucking National Football League, okay? This is where boys become men, men become legends. Legends are never forgotten, all right? That is what this league is about, okay? And then we kind of move forward. So Canadian Football League, I'm pumped that they're doing this. I'm pumped that ESPN finally bought in, and we are going to get to see 81 regular season games this upcoming season. So hopefully they bring on the postseason. I'm not really sure how that all works out. I feel like they would, but you never know. So for sure they're coming to ESPN Plus and the ESPN family of networks this upcoming season. So I'm pumped for it. I cannot wait. Football's growing, and the viewership is only going to continue to rise as well. So yesterday when I was on the Steelers Ironcast with Mark, we brought up the Baker Mayfield situation. We were kind of talking about, does he start for the Cleveland Browns if this whole Deshaun Watson situation doesn't get figured out? And, I kind of said, there's no way. Right? You can't, I just don't see that happening. Well, seems like that's kind of coming to fruition a little bit easier or a little bit quicker. The Browns have excused Baker Mayfield from mandatory minicamp. Both sides have agreed upon this or decided to do this, and I think it's basically due to the fact that Cleveland has Deshaun Watson pending the lawsuits. We're not going to talk about that anymore because I don't know what's true. I don't know what's false at this point. I mean, shit just keeps flying in under the radar. We get one thing kind of gets settled, the next thing pops up. It's just, I'm going to leave that alone until a final decision is made or something drastically changes in the lawsuits. But they got Deshaun Watson, they got Jacoby Brissett, they got Joshua Dobbs, they got a couple other guys that they signed this offseason as well, and they know that Baker's not going to be their guy going forward. They knew that as soon as they signed Deshaun Watson. But they also know that bringing Baker into the facility, bringing him into the practice field, is just going to cause drama. It's going to cause unwanted emotions, unwanted noise, basically. Okay, because Baker's going to start running his mouth. He's going to start back talking. He's not going to do what the Browns want him to do, and he's not going to practice like he should. And he's going to piss people off. He's going to kind of maybe, who knows? But they also did this because they are still continuously working towards finding a trade suitor, a.k.a. the Carolina Panthers, the Seattle Seahawks, which are two teams that could definitely use Baker. The only problem is Baker's contract. The Cleveland Browns owe Baker Mayfield $19 million this upcoming season. If they trade him, that team automatically picks up that $19 million, which for most teams is a red flag. Okay? Oh, cool. We've seen Baker kind of turn your franchise around a little bit. You guys were losers for so long. You guys finally find a way back up the totem pole, win a couple ball games because of Baker Mayfield. Then you get to a playoff berth. You win one game, you kind of lose the next game, you're out of the playoffs, you come back next season, you miss the playoffs, kind of up and down. He's a good quarterback. Is he a franchise guy? We didn't get to see a lot out of him. Okay, there's a reason you didn't extend him, because if you were going to extend him, you would have done that already. So we're not going to take that $19 million. We're going to make you pay for a massive or take on a massive chunk of that contract. And apparently sources or rumors are that the Cleveland Browns are willing to take up to at least $13 million of that contract, which is massive. It's either $13 or $10 million. So both numbers completely, that's a big change, big difference, but it's still a big chunk. But I think teams are like, yeah, still, I would only want to take on maybe $4 to $5 million of this contract, probably 4, maybe 3, because who knows what he has in the tank, and we want to give him a chance, a year to kind of prove himself, have that chip on his shoulder like he always has, and then we'll give him that 5-year extension, whatever the case may be with the money and stuff like that. So Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield has been excused from mandatory minicamp. He won't get fined. Nothing will come of it other than the fact that I think Cleveland is trying to find a trade suitor, and I'm sure they will find one in the coming months for sure. Okay, definitely going to have to find one by August unless they don't want to. They'll have to find that. They'll maybe in the coming weeks. Who knows on the whole Baker Mayfield front, but I'm sure, actually I know they are working on finding a trade suitor. And last but not least, new head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, Josh McDaniels, seems like he's buckling down a little bit, trying to be a head coach. Brandon Bolden said that Josh McDaniels uses a more stern voice as head coach than he did when he was a coordinator in New England. Kind of like when your big brother is in charge when your parents go away for the weekend, right? I was in that footstep. I've done that before. Parents or grandparents, that's who I live with, my grandparents. They would go away for a couple hours or like 6 hours or maybe go away for a weekend or whatever. I'm in charge. All right? You listen to me. My rules, all right? You want an ice cream cone? Too fucking bad. You're not getting an ice cream cone until I say you can have an ice cream cone. All right? You want to go outside? No, can't do it. Too windy. Sorry about it. It might be 80 degrees out there. It's too windy. Dangerous. Can't go out there. I'm going to go outside, though. All right? So you guys got to stay in here. You want to play video games? No. Can't do it. I mean, you can, but I got dibs. So kind of have that little, you have a little power finally, all right? And I'm glad that this has been said. I'm glad that Josh McDaniels has been using a more stern tone with the team. Because he's been a head coach in this league before. And I'm not sure how stern he was sounding then, but he coached for the Denver Broncos back in 2009 and then 2010, in which in 2010 season he was released after week 13. His career record with the Denver Broncos, or his record overall with the Denver Broncos, 11-17. 11-17. Doesn't seem too bad because you look at coaches like, Bob Saleh with the Jets. What's his record going to be after this year? MCDC. What's his record going to look like after this season? These young up-and-coming coaches, sometimes they do struggle right off the bat, but then all of a sudden they start making headway, they start winning ball games, they start making playoffs, they maybe start winning Super Bowls, and the rest is kind of history. But I think there was something there that Denver just did not believe that Josh McDaniels was ready to be their head coach for quite some time or down the road. So they let him go. Then I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was when I started the show, so it had to be 2 years ago, where Josh McDaniels basically had the chance to be the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts before Frank Reich. And rumor has it, he was flying there, turned that fucking plane around and said, nah, ain't happening, can't do it. My gut tells me I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not going to be your head coach. I'm going to be the coordinator for the New England Patriots still. Okay, I'm going to be Tom Brady's quarterback coach. I'm going to be the OC over there. I'm going to still do that while I have time to learn under Bill Belichick. And when I know the time is right, I'll know. Okay. Well, the time is right this season. He lands a gig with the Las Vegas Raiders. And I think he's taken full advantage of the fact that he has leadership and that he's ready, he's poised, he has a team that's ready to rock and roll, a team that just made the playoffs after having a season in which they were completely just flustered. All the outside noise, the drama that was happening. I mean, the Henry Ruggs situation, the Damon Arnett situation, the why can't I fucking remember his goddamn name? John Gruden situation. The IRS is auditing them, basically. There's just a whole bunch of mess going around. Old Paisan, Rich Bisaccia, special teams coordinator, comes out there on the football field, takes over the head coaching gig and says, listen, boys, you believe in me, I'll believe in you. We'll go to the playoffs, all right? They go to the playoffs. A lot of people thought Richard Bisaccia should have been the head coach. But now they land Josh McDaniels. They have a team that just made the playoffs. They just landed Devontae Adams as a wide receiver, the best wide receiver in the National Football League. Again, if you don't believe it, we can argue about it, and I would love to hear your argument because stats, they sometimes lie, but at the same time, look what Devontae's been able to do in shortened seasons. Look what he's been able to, or the separation he gets on every single route. I mean, the dude is phenomenal. Better than DeAndre Hopkins. Okay, better than Cooper Kupp. Better than Jamar Chase. Better than Justin Jefferson. Better than all the high caliber wide receivers in the National Football League. Plain and simple. And they get Chandler Jones on the defensive side of things. The dude is a freak of nature. 15 and a half sacks, I believe, 1 or 2, maybe even 3 years with the Arizona Cardinals. Was a staple for the Cardinals for quite some time. And he played with the New England Patriots. He leaves the Cardinals because J.J. Watt got paid. He didn't. Oh, he's been on a little bit of a injury road right now. So they have a team. They have a good team. I think Josh McDaniels is ready to bring that team to the mountaintop and hoist the Lombardi. All right. So with that being said, that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in, whether that's on Facebook or that's on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, hey, hit the share. All right. Hit that like. Go on YouTube. Hit the subscribe. It would be much, much appreciated. Definitely go to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, all right? Let's bump those up a little bit, all right? We'll work on that ourselves as well, but for the time being, have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the weather. Be safe out there. Make smart decisions. We'll be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Time, like always. Have a great one, folks, and you just got your fix with the Wicks. Deuces, folks.